Welcome, everyone, to What the Force, and welcome to a new episode of The Way of the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host, and with me is my good friend, Katie Horn.
Don't you mean Darth Cersei?
Oh, we're doing that? Yes. All right. So then I'm Darth Meloseed.
Oh, it's good to be here, or it's horrible to be here. I don't know.
It's terrible.
Terrible to be here
because of all of the torture.
Well, we're not. We're the ones doing the torture, so it's bad for all of you to be here, and wonderful for us to be here.
I mean, it is. You're forced to listen to us.
Strap on in.
Oh my God, it's starting already.
That's fine. I love it. Yes.
Okay. And today we will be taking on the fascinating topic of lightsabers and Kyber crystals.
Ooh.
And this is such a in-depth topic. In fact, there have been entire books, including Pablo Hidalgo recently, as of Marie-Claire checks the page. 2018 released a Star Wars Lightsabers, a guide to the weapons of the Force.
Oh, dang, that's pretty recent, actually.
Yeah, and it's pretty beautifully done book. It even has, that thigh grab in it.
That's if I had to go into battle with one thing, it would not be a lightsaber. It would, in fact, be Kylo Ren's inner thigh. That's that's what I'm reaching for. Right out the gates, what I'm reaching for.
We didn't specify where on the thigh it was.
Inner thigh.
But yeah, no, it's pretty comprehensive. It covers both Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. It covers General Grievous's. It has pretty much almost every kind of main named characters' lightsabers. And it also kind of talks through some of the more, high level things to do with lightsaber creation that you can only read in canon novelizations, canon novels, see in the Clone Wars. So if you're just a Star Wars fan that's been well, I kind of like the movies. What's all these lightsabers about?
I like them laser swords.
You think I'm going to walk out there with a laser sword and take on the full First Order? Well, yes, Luke.
Yeah, actually, that sounds rad. Do that, please.
Do that. And in the original trilogy, the lightsabers were these really mystical weapons, and Marie-Claire has a very personal attachment to the concept of them, because when I was a kid, I used to literally pretend to have a lightsaber of a Christmas wrapping paper tube.
Oh, that's so great.
Right? And I played Leia, and I had my own lightsaber because screw you.
Right?
And
oh my gosh, Marie-Claire, when I was a kid on the playground and it was all who do you want to be? I was Padme, but I had Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber and the broken half of Darth Maul's lightsaber. Those were the two lightsabers that Padme was using because reasons. Okay.
So it could totally happen in canon.
Yes.
No, seriously, because they both survived.
Yeah, exactly. Both those lightsabers were right there in Padme's house.
In her house.
She
practiced with them.
They're hers now. They just. So that's what happened. It's real. It's canon. Pablo, just accept it, please.
I feel like we need this story about how she's she had such latent but hidden force powers that she picked them up and she played around with them a little bit and never told Anakin because
they called to her. They called to you.
Yeah. I mean, literally, that's one of the cool things about Kyber is that it communicates with you.
Yeah.
We need this fan fiction. Katie.
Oh my God. I'm drafting it up right now. Just hang on, wait. I got to write something down. Can't you just oh man, imagine her Padme using, Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, Qui-Gon with whom she clashed, you know what I mean? And then Maul's lightsaber, Maul, who was hunting her down, you know what I mean? These were two just very formative forces at this point in her life, you know, like, and now she controls them. Like, ooh.
Like there's a lot of like feminism in that.
Right. I'm here for it. I'm drafting this fanfic as we speak. Hi.
Literally holding these two very powerful force wielders.
Yep. I got my pen. I got my paper.
Extension of their power.
Yeah.
In a phallic symbol kind of way. What is going on, Katie?
It's something awesome, obviously. That's what Darth Cersei is all about. Honestly, that is what Darth Cersei is all about. Turning men into swine and taking their lightsabers. That's
and making them their own.
Yep.
I need this as like some sort of like villain in the future. Can we have more female villains? Thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be cool too.
Would be pretty cool.
We've already talked about what we want in the future for storytelling of dark force users or something. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, both of us have had like experiences growing up, and yes, I was much further in the past than yours because Leia was like literally the only person that I could choose from at the time.
Oh.
But you know, she had the right to a lightsaber and she never got one. So I always imagined that she had one. And they have this kind of, I don't know, very mystical sense in the Star Wars universe. It is this like, it's got like ceremonial meaning to the lightsaber. And whenever I think of that, I always think back to like Qui-Gon meditating, like the dichotomy of that scene where Qui-Gon is meditating before he faces Maul with the like the energy shield between them, and like Maul is doing his own like hyping himself up like Panther on a prowl, like back and forth, like with his lightsaber lit, like banging it against the shield, and like those are like, that is like the Force. And like how these different force wielders chose to connect with it visually, it was so well done.
Yeah, it's a powerful scene. I will go off about that scene if you let me, honestly.
And we also have like the very in the original trilogy, the very kendo lightsaber styles, and like how it was, you know, kind of two hands, and not until the prequels came around did we actually get more you know, single-handed type combat or double lightsabers or you know, kind of options.
Right.
But like we got to see so many cool things that came out of the prequels from a lightsaber perspective, like Qui-Gon using it on the door for the first time, literally made me die. Right?
I still die to this day. When we get to the scene, I like fall off the couch because that is the coolest thing. I don't want any door to open unless I'm like melting it down. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way to get through a door.
And then, like, they were like, damn, man, that was super dope. And they kept on pulling it out, like, and using it, like, in the Clone Wars. And, like, this door can't possibly open with a droid. Like, it was like, R2 was, like, retired from opening doors from that point on.
R2's like, I don't do that anymore.
Like, literally, they figured out that this laser sword can go through pretty much anything. So... Yep.
It's like, you know, do you need a key? What's a key? I have a lightsaber. Like, they've literally never heard of house keys. They don't need them. They're
like, just cut a door, like a hole in the anything. Yeah. And like, you think about like how powerful that like laser sword is. It's like, it's got this incredible power. It's like powered on a AA or a AAA battery effectively. Right? Like it doesn't take much power to actually emit the laser. No. And that's like in the lightsabers book.
Yeah.
It's like it actually calls out that lightsabers, although the power source is not very strong, they seem mystical because they can like produce this incredibly powerful light beam, basically laser.
Yeah.
That is contained from a very like small power source and lasts for a very long time. And also, Pablo points out that it can be charged in any standard light, like basically power socket.
I did not know that lightsabers needed to be charged. Like, I did not know that. That's excellent. Like,
Yeah, so it's like, but in truth, a lightsaber can be charged from a power outlet.
like a cell phone.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm sorry, but like, thank goodness that when Duel of the Fates starts up, those doors go bum bum bum. Darth Maul wasn't like tries to turn on his lightsaber. Hang on, can we do this in 15 minutes? I need to go plug in my lightsaber. Like,
I'm literally smacking my phone right now to be
Yeah,
like,
right.
I
Like,
can't get.
I just need 2% battery. Like, it's just that's all I need. It's just like he's standing there with his lightsaber. He's like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have been checking Twitter on this thing. Like, I just, like he was behind that door, all like about to kick some Jedi butt. Like, here it goes. But then his battery dies. He's just, oh, I knew it.
Was that tweet worth it?
Was it worth it, Maul? Was it worth it?
Oh my God.
Fun fact, that was not a double-bladed lightsaber. It's been a 4-bladed lightsaber the entire time. Just 2 of them didn't turn on because he was out of battery. It actually, Darth Maul's lightsaber was meant to like form an X the entire time. And he was gonna like I'm sorry. You gave me this new information that lightsabers need to be charged, and now my brain is running everywhere. I can't help it.
I mean, it's kind of like droids. Like, droids need, power too, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. And yeah, it specifically says that a lightsaber's tiny power cell.
Oh my gosh.
It seems like it has endless power from this tiny power cell. So it doesn't need to be charged that often.
Oh my gosh. I'm having, my brain is exploding. So the Jedi have to go through this whole mystical, experience going to Ilum to get their crystals. No. But really, they just got to go to Space Walmart to get also to get the power cell. You know what I mean? Can you buy a 12 pack?
Like a Radio Shack.
Like a Radio Shack. Because they would still have them. This was a long time ago, far away. So Radio Shack is still around.
Again, it's like a AAA battery. It's tiny.
I'm imagining the Padawan, teacher teacher comes in to the classroom, is all like, younglings, breaks open the 12 pack of batteries. You know what I mean?
Oh, don't even get me started on training lightsabers. Well, really, that's the secret weapon, in that episode of the Clone Wars, The Gathering, when they're the younglings gather on Ilum, and then the one after that, they're putting together the lightsabers. That's the secret. It's the AAA battery, right?
AAA battery. That's the real power here.
Exactly.
But who owns the battery making factories? You know what I mean? What happens if Sidious, gets the deed to that factory because he's playing the long game, right? He's playing the long game, and he's like, okay, I can never control Ilum. The Jedi have that on lock, but how do I really mess with the Jedi? Oh, I know. I shut down the battery factory, and now they can't power their lightsabers. But now you just won yourself a Clone War. But then
they have to use plugins and extension cords. Plug it in. Boop. Wait. Sec. Okay, can you come here a little closer?
Yeah. He's got a 12-inch extension cord. And then Mary Claire, I'm so sorry. You invite me on your show, and then I'm just all like, hang on, batteries. Can we just cut to that song from Rockadoodle? No more batteries.
It's really okay. I just find there's some really fun, weird stuff about lightsabers. They very much represent power and the status of being a Jedi. That's how people recognize that this person is a force wielder, is because they have this powerful weapon that only Jedi have. And they also like kind of represent that, like, you know, it's almost like a badge of office for the Jedi. Like it's their like police. Oh no, the Popo are here. Like
they got laser swords.
They got the laser swords. Oh no. Like no, and
just go back to your drinks. That's what Anakin says.
It literally is that, right? Like and
exactly.
it's used as a threat and a reminder that the Jedi have this power, and it's like this weird thing that's also tied with their religion. Like
right. Yeah.
Because it's also like a ceremonial weapon. Really, it's always meant for defense for the Jedi until they have like a Sith or an enemy to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a contradiction, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The Jedi, you know, we are keepers of the peace, not soldiers, you know? And yet they carry these weapons, and that's how you recognize a Jedi. You know, that's what Anakin says to Qui-Gon, you know, I saw your laser sword. Only a Jedi carries a weapon like that, you know.
Well, maybe I killed one.
Yeah, maybe I killed a Jedi and took it from him. I don't think so. No one can kill a Jedi, you know? Like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness, you know, but yeah, it's such a contradiction that these, you know, peaceful, you know, ideally these warriors of peace and justice, no, not even warriors, defenders of peace and justice in the galaxy are known for carrying these blades. But then I guess it's all supposed to go back to like the days of King Arthur, right? Where, you know, a knight carries a sword, you know, and, you know, to defend the weak, and King Arthur pulling, you know, that sword out of the stone, you know, and it was very meaningful to like pass down these swords, you know, to someone else, you know, and that's what we see in Star Wars, you know, the legacy saber getting passed on from generation to generation, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it also has this like, you know, symbolic sort of like who controls the Kyber in a kind of way, like, and how it ends up playing out in like the saga specifically is like, well, the transfer of the power of the galaxy or the control of the galaxy transfers from the many of the Jedi, not that there is that many of them, but like the Kyber control is spread throughout the thousands of guardians of peace in the galaxy, and then is transferred to a single weapon of the Death Star,
right,
when it's under the Empire after all of the Jedi have been killed. And it's very interesting, and in some ways like that ties very much to kind of how they've played the control and the interest in the and what they're saying about Kyber crystals itself, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think that like very there's something symbolic happening with the Kyber in the galaxy.
Yeah. Well, to me, it speaks about a theme of symbiosis, you know, symbionts, life forms living together for mutual advantage. You know what I mean? When the Emperor takes all these Kyber crystals and, you know, does not care what they think or what they want or how they feel and distills them into the Death Star, you know, that's very, very different than how the Jedi are using them. And it has the power to destroy planets, you know, and that's not great. It's not good.
Well, and like it very much ties back to kind of some of the themes that we brought up in our Dark Side episode. And if you have not listened to that, go back and listen to more of us being absolutely wacky Sith Lords.
Yes.
Talking about the dark side.
It was a really good time, honestly. Highly recommend.
5 stars on Yelp.
Yes.
So it very much ties to that idea of like, you know, and we're going to get into this a lot more with the Kyber crystal conversation. But like this concept that if you are leaning into the light side of the Force, it's about kind of collaboration and interconnectedness. And if you're leaning into the dark side of the Force, it's about control and it's about like a single-minded focus and in some ways isolation from the galaxy itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dominion over the galaxy itself. You know what I mean? Because are so desperately unhappy with yourself and your life that you have to control everyone and everything around you and make things the way we want them, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And like the swords themselves have a lot of metaphors, like
Yes.
control and power and the ability to kill and phallic again. And like, you know, sheathed swords, so unlit swords, or the swords that the lightsabers that are unwielded are very yonic. So like feminine typology or feminine symbolism.
Yeah.
It's not active, so it is, you know, maybe not.
Inert.
There's
Potentia.
potentia, potentia to be lit. And also lightsabers themselves very much are like you know, because they're pure light, and even in like the old Macquarie drawings, they were more like almost like these like rays of light coming out of them rather than like these kind of longer, thinner blades. And they've gone through kind of different iterations visually, especially with like different, like especially animation taking them on differently.
Right.
Yeah. But like in generality, they are a very sun type. There's a sun connection to them. And like, especially when the Kyber ends up being used for the Death Star, Starkiller Base, like that connection becomes more and more real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting that the OT culminates with Luke, you know, throwing that lightsaber away, you know?
Yep.
And it's interesting to me, you know, if you just look at the 6 film saga, you know, episodes 1 through 6, it kind of tells the story of how it took the Jedi. You know, it took us 6 movies for the Jedi. You know, I am a Jedi like my father before me. You know, us breaking down an idea of what a Jedi is and what a Jedi should be. It took us 6 movies to get to a point where a Jedi puts down their weapon. You know what I mean? The Jedi, you know, start the series, you know, as, you know, they are trying to be these defenders of peace and justice in the galaxy. And, you know, and then they become warriors and soldiers, you know what I mean? And, you know, the whole time they think they're trying to defend the Republic, you know, everybody's trying to defend what they love. But then what ultimately, you know, wins the day is when a Jedi puts down his weapon and refuses to fight. That's what ends the conflict, is when it's like, I will not fight you. You know what I mean? That's incredibly interesting to me, especially since, you know, we had Luke, you know, on Dagobah, and he feels the presence of that dark side tree, and he's going to go in, and, you know, what's in there? Only what you take with you, you know? And Yoda says, your weapons, you will not need them. But Luke takes his weapons in there anyway. And what does he find? He finds conflict, you know what I mean? Because he brought that weapon into that room. And then that's exactly what we see in The Last Jedi. Yep. That's how the conflict reignites itself. You know, Luke went into his nephew's bedroom in the middle of the night. Why did he need to bring a sword? Why did he need to bring a sword into that room? You know what I mean? He brought a weapon into that, you know, into that situation, into the room, that he, you know, that means that a part of him believed that he would need to use it. And if he hadn't brought the weapon into that room, you know, you only find what you bring with you.
Yep.
So since he went into that room with a sword, he found a fight, you know? Yep. And that is very interesting to me, and makes me wonder if, you know, if the ultimate culmination of this saga, you know, at the end of episode 9 is again the laying down of arms, you know? And it's, you know, we can't, you know, the Jedi have these weapons, but we can't, a Jedi's weapon is the Force. You know what I mean? And we can't have these lightsabers anymore. I mean, it's so hard to imagine Jedi without lightsabers, but maybe that's the point. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Oh, yeah, but they can always go back into the past when lightsabers were probably invented. Although it does say like very clearly that like they've had lightsabers almost since they left Octo. So
Yeah.
they've been
Well,
around
like,
since the Jedi have been around.
well, I'm thinking about it from like almost from like a Disney marketing standpoint. You know what I mean? Everybody wants a laser sword. Laser swords are so cool. You know, you want to go to Galaxy's Edge, right, at Disney and build a $200 laser sword. I mean, I do. I'm not throwing any shade at anybody. I swear.
They're $200.
They are $200, and I want one.
I need to save up because I need a holocron.
Yeah,
both of them.
Disney gonna make that money.
Oh my god! Like I am going to be so poor.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna be so poor, and I'm gonna love it. Like it's gonna be great. Oh my gosh! But what was I saying? So yeah, everybody wants a laser sword. So it's really hard for me to imagine the movies being like, actually, laser swords are a terrible idea, and you're a bad person for having them. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
at the same time, it's kind of thematically consistent to me. You know, it's they're gonna have to address that somehow. About
but I think that they might be able to do it in a different way, like maybe because Kyber channels the Force, they could potentially use their lightsabers in a way that doesn't involve like stabbing or slashing with them, but channeling the Force with them.
Yeah, maybe.
It might be a way to get around that and still allow us to have our lightsaber fantasies.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it would consistently beg the question to me though, of like the conflict ended when Luke threw that lightsaber down. You know, you only find what you bring with you. And then it's like, well, I'm just going to keep carrying a sword around anyway, you know, because, you know, a warrior will inevitably find a fight. Oh man. Have you ever played the game Fable? Specifically Fable 2?
Fable 1 I have. Chicken Chaser.
Yes. Fable 2 is legit. I love Fable 2. Fable 3 is also really good. But anyway, Fable 2 specifically. There's this really cool warrior chick named, but she likes to be called Hammer.
Can you repeat that?
Oh, sorry. There's this really cool warrior chick called Hannah.
Okay.
But she calls herself Hammer because she carries around a giant hammer. She comes from a peaceful village, and she's been given this task to walk a monk's path. You know, she's supposed to get something. I don't remember what. She's supposed to, escort something up to the top of a mountain. You know, and she's like, "You hero, main character, protagonist, please help me in this quest." And you're like, "Excellent, can do." You and Hammer walk this path, and your path is riddled with monsters. It is so bad. It's disgusting. You are hacking and slashing your way all the way up this mountain. And when you get up to the top, you know, Hammer's like, how are two peaceful monks supposed to walk this path? That doesn't, good thing we have these awesome giant hammers, But then when you get to it, at the end, Hammer realizes that two monks would have found nothing on this path. They would have walked this path peacefully because they were people of peace. You know what I mean? She brought that weapon onto this path, and that is why her path was laden with monsters. You know what I mean? If you have that weapon, you will find an excuse to use it, Oh,
it's so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars might be trying to say something different, but I feel like these are very similar themes.
Well, and it's like how, like Yoda even called it out in Rebels. It's like how Jedi choose to fight. So I don't know. I think that they might be trying to like say it, but maybe find a way that kiddies can still have their lightsabers.
Yeah, still have their lasers. Yeah.
still have their $200 lightsabers. Hey, when I was a kid, I used a wrapping paper roll.
Yep.
So.
I didn't have one.
Hey, you should have gotten one and then had your mom yell at you.
Exactly.
About using it to like fight your brother.
Yeah, exactly. No, for me, I had to use a flashlight. That was my experience.
Flashlights also, and like sometimes you had them with like the cheap overcovering too that like lit up in certain colors, and it was always green.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever have that? No.
No.
Okay.
I want to tell you another story though. I did a report at school once. You were supposed to come to school as a historical figure, like dressed as like Abraham Lincoln or something, I came dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like specifically, I came to school dressed as old Ben Kenobi. I used a brown blanket as a robe, and I had like a Santa Claus beard. I was old Ben Kenobi. And I told everybody about my life, and my teacher's like, "You were supposed to come as a real person. This is it's an autobiography kind of thing." And my teacher's like, "Katie, Katie." And I remember drawing on the whiteboard like how a lightsaber works, and that was I was like teaching people, this is how it works. It's kind of like, and I'm like, it's kind of like a flashlight. See, this goes through a crystal, and the crystal makes a blade. And I'm like using words like prism because I thought that made it sound more official. And like, it's a prism. So yes, lightsaber construction is a topic that has fascinated me for decades. Thank you.
Let's talk about that, and then we'll get into kind of the symbolism of lightsabers that we've seen kind of in the saga a little bit. But so construction for a Jedi is that they participate in something called the Gathering.
Ooh.
And I really love that arc of episodes with the younglings, and we need to know where they are. Lucasfilm story group.
They're fine. They're living at my house because they're precious and I love them and nothing bad happens to them ever. Okay.
So I have to tell a quick Twitter story. So
absolutely.
We did this Resistance wrap up. So it was like the last episode of Resistance. We had a whole bunch of people on. We talked about the last episode of Resistance, and we made kind of some jokes, and we ended up talking about where Ezra Bridger was because we're still looking for him. And we're like, where are you, Ezra?
He's fine.
And we have determined he's in Hondo's basement because Hondo lives on Batuu.
Yeah.
And he's hanging out with the space whale, just like watching tunes. He's got like a badass beard growing.
Love it.
And I'm like, who else or what else is in Hondo's basement? And Leland Shee replies to this. And he says, Katuni. Like just out of nowhere.
I love it. That's so good.
And like in July, we find out that there is a ship in Batuu.
Oh my gosh.
Named the Katuni.
Oh my gosh. That's perfect. Oh my goodness.
And I want to cry.
Yes.
He like leaked something, but didn't leak something. And then it also like, where the hell is she actually, dude? Like, I care. I want to know. Is she safe?
She's fine. She's fine. It's fine.
Like, where's Gunji? Like we need to know where literally all of them are, and you haven't told us, and so we're all super worried. But obviously, they're in Hondo's basement.
Yeah, they're just chilling, eating cheese puffs. They're totally fine.
Feeding cheese puffs to the whale.
Yeah, feeding cheese. They're just tossing cheese puffs into the whale's mouth.
I mean, Purgles eat like, gas, but whatever.
Yeah. And cheese puffs. And cheese puffs.
And cheese puffs, yes. But yeah, so that was my side conversation. Where was I? Oh, the Gathering.
Yes.
Yeah, so I really love that episode because Yoda talks. We have a rare episode with no like Anakin, Obi-Wan, and kind of other Jedi. We have Ahsoka, who is still a Padawan, and Yoda, who take them to Ilum, which is this cool ice planet that allows them to seek Kyber crystals and experience the call of the Kyber within Ilum. And Ilum is this really cool planet where I guess Kyber crystals just kind of are.
Yeah, they grow. Yeah.
Like they grow?
Yeah, they just grow. Yeah.
And crystals
They're
are
alive. Yeah.
like living crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a collective consciousness.
Oh, that's so cool.
And they can communicate with you in a telepathic / mystical force vision kind of way.
They speak to you through the force. I mean, the force exists within all living things, and it exists between you, me, the rock, the tree. It's everywhere.
And if you are a light side user and you don't have the right attitude, almost, they will deny service to you. It's like their choice to bond and become the crystal of a force wielder.
Yeah. It's very cool how they showed in the Clone Wars how these specific crystals call out to each specific, youngling, and they all have to kind of face a challenge that is, personally difficult for each one of them in order to obtain their crystal, like an impatient Padawan, is shown a crystal that's, far away, and all they have to do is like sit and wait for their path to appear, but it's like there's literally nothing you can do to get this crystal except sit and wait.
And sit and wait. Yeah. Or like you might need to, you rely on technology, and they kind of do that one as well. You rely on technology. And so how do you not use technology to get your crystal? Maybe you're kind of selfish like Petro is, and you end up like winning, and you're competitive and you end up winning, but you find out that what you've brought back is actually just ice.
Yeah. It wasn't a crystal at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really interesting. And like, it's very much a good way of explaining it through showing rather than necessarily telling. But Yoda does have a little bit of a speech at the beginning of the episode where he talks about kind of the crystals and, what lightsabers mean. And it's very good. But what I always love about this episode is specifically when Yoda says, we are very lucky to have been chosen to be avatars of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the crystals will like come to us, because like we're the Force, they are the Force in a way, and it's just really cool. Do you have any other thoughts on that? Like kind of before they build their weapons? And you can talk about the Old Republic stuff with that.
I was maybe going to bring up the trial that Anakin had to face in the old comics, where what he saw in Ilum was Darth Maul, but I can skip that. It's fine. That's fine.
Well, Ezra had a very similar kind of trial.
True.
Too, like in the temple on Lothal, he actually had to go through kind of a trial and a weird conversation with Yoda. Yeah.
It's very interesting to me that, in order to obtain, this crystal that's going to, become a weapon again, you have to kind of prove yourself to it. And you almost, have to prove it to yourself, that you're capable of growing and learning and changing and confronting the worst parts of yourself.
Yeah.
Before you can have this weapon, you have to look at the worst parts of yourself, because once you have this weapon, you will find the worst way to use it, honestly. You know what I mean? Yeah, ideally you will use it will be your best self when you use it. But I think that temptation to use it in the worst possible way will always be there. And this, of course, to me is going to remind me of Darth Maul, because everything reminds me of Darth Maul.
That's okay.
There was a comic back in the day called Jedi Quest that showed Anakin getting his Kyber crystal for his first lightsaber. So Obi-Wan took him to Ilum, of course, and Anakin had to go through the cave and look for his crystal. And what he found inside was Darth Maul. And that was so cool that Darth Maul, represented all the worst things in Anakin, because Darth Maul starts taunting Anakin and saying like, I killed Qui-Gon Jinn. We know how important Qui-Gon Jinn was to Anakin. It's like, and wouldn't you love to strike me down? And Maul and Anakin fight. And, again, Anakin had to confront those worst instincts inside of him before he could have that weapon, and ultimately the way he is able to get his crystal is, he realizes, I created you so I can make you go. And, and Darth Maul, he was just a vision, so he disappears. And that was a cool revelation to me, of Anakin just being like, wait, I created this monster so I can make it leave, Oh, that's so cool. And then the Kyber crystal comes to him,
Interesting.
Is that cool? Yeah.
Yeah. And I really do like that idea. Like the universe is almost like giving you the opportunity to squire, because like if they're Jedi Knights, it's like, by being given your first weapon, you become a squire, almost from a knight perspective. And like, you understand, at least in part, some of the responsibility that the galaxy is giving you.
Yeah.
Oh, It's really cool.
Yeah, I think it is interesting when a lightsaber is just kind of handed down, like, Obi-Wan hands Luke, his father's lightsaber, and have to introspect in order to earn it. But then I thought it was cool when Rey, that Kyber crystal, like, specifically called to her.
Yeah.
It felt something in her. It felt, like destiny almost, calls out to her. And as soon as she touched it, she had to introspect in order to earn it. It immediately threw her back into, like, her memories, and she saw all sorts of weird stuff. And of course, what she saw was, her deepest pain was that moment of her being left behind on Jakku. You know what I mean? Because again, like, you have to, before you can wield this weapon, you have to look at yourself, and accept and acknowledge those painful things inside of you.
Yes.
Ooh. What have you got there?
I'm looking at this is the history of the Skywalker lightsaber.
Ooh.
I'm just looking for something really interesting. It says here that Maz acted as the steward of the Jedi relic until she found a worthy recipient.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And that at first, Rey was reluctant to carry the lightsaber that called to her through the Force. Rey used it well to duel against an injured Kylo Ren on Starkiller Base. During a duel with Kylo Ren, the lightsaber became the object of a telekinetic force struggle between Rey and Ren. The weapon tore in two and was destroyed, or in the immense blast, when its Kyber crystal overloaded with energy.
Ooh. Again, those batteries, they'll get you every time.
Obviously they used AA, not a AAA.
Yeah.
I mean, Anakin was always, like, fiddling with that lightsaber, right? So
yeah, he was like, what happens if I stick 2 batteries in here? What happens?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and, like, this draws onto, like, a really interesting concept that was brought up in, like, the prequels era specifically, and then also, like, reiterated a couple of times in the Clone Wars. And the whole concept that not only do these younglings, like, especially when they find the crystal during the gathering, but then when they telekinetically build their own lightsabers. And it's really cool. Like, you got to go and, like, watch those episodes to see them, like, use the Force, and they kind of, like, all come together, and they use the Force to determine kind of what the components should be. Like, they really listen to the Force and listen to the galaxy to, like, see what the lightsaber will end up looking like. And it's very meditative in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And, because it's very much supposed to be an extension of the Jedi. It's supposed to be, like, an extension of their own hand. And so you think about it, and it's like, this is the galaxy, and in a way, a reflection of this Force wielder having the power over the galaxy.
Right.
Very symbolic. But, like, we hear specifically when Anakin loses his lightsaber for, like, the 16th time, Obi-Wan being like, I don't know if I can do it a good Obi-Wan.
Try. I believe in you.
All right. This lightsaber is your life.
This lightsaber. No, I can't do it either. This lightsaber is your life.
This lightsaber is your life.
Anakin.
Anakin. That's my
only good Obi-Wan impression. It's Anakin.
Anakin.
Wait,
this
lightsaber is hello, Dex.
Hello, Dex.
Hello. Hello. Cockney and just like, hello. I can be that I am. Yep. What?
I apologize. But right, like, and then in the Clone Wars, we have this amazing, like, mini episode at the end of season 1. Like, weirdly, it's just, like, thrown in there. It's the end of season 1. And it's the bounty hunter Cad Bane takes over the Senate, and Anakin has, like, been visiting Padme. He's been burnt out because of the war effort, and he's like, Padme, like, I love you, and we're married. Why can't we just go take a little vacation? I mean, like, Padme, and she's like, I got work to do.
I have so much work, Anakin. And Anakin's like, I don't really want to do the work today. I don't really want to do the work.
Like, and I love this episode for like a variety of reasons, but like it's one of the first episodes where we actually kind of see them as like a married couple.
Right.
And they're like romantic and cute and like you can believe in their romance.
Yeah.
You know, and like he does this like super romantic thing, which is like he takes out his lightsaber and he's like he hands it to Padme and is like, Obi-Wan told me my weapon is my life and I give it to you.
Oh.
And she's like, it's heavier than I thought, which is just such an interesting like concept. And like one thing leads to another and they end up getting separated. This whole like, you know, taking over the Senate building happens and she's stuck with his lightsaber literally in her like robe, like up her sleeve as all of these things are happening. And Anakin literally needs to take out like all of the terrorists and people who have been paid to get Zero the Hutt out of prison to like fight them all off without his lightsaber. And everyone's like, the Jedi doesn't have his lightsaber. He's defenseless. And he's like, please.
Yeah, right? Like, okay.
Yeah. Like, maybe I can't kill you with one stroke, you know? All right, well, you know, so it's going
to take me 5 minutes to destroy you instead of 3. So, you know, enjoy those extra 2 minutes.
Like, it proceeds to be like some sort of crazy, like, who am I thinking? Jason Statham movie or something like that, where he like burns his way. Yeah, he burns his way through like literally all of the people until the end and then gets his lightsaber back and everything like that. But I always loved that scene and was particularly drawn to it because it's like, yeah, of course, like he would view Padme in that way, especially with how Revenge of the Sith ends and everything like that. But it always made me question that scene in The Force Awakens when the lightsaber goes to Rey.
Right. Oh, what a moment.
Like, I'm like, why does it go to Rey? Why does it call to Rey?
I mean, I feel very strongly that it is it has to be a mutual thing, you know? Yeah. And because if we are symbiotes, you know, life forms living together for mutual advantage, the crystal has to want you and you have to want the crystal. And at the end, you know, Rey was ready for it. And I feel like that relationship was far more mutual than what Kylo was offering it, you know?
Oh, yeah. Like it was, and definitely Dark Force users, and we'll get into this in a little bit, but Dark Force users have trouble calling to light side crystals.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So.
Right.
Like they don't have the ability to have them be as powerful. They can still use weapons from the light side, but like it no longer is as effective. And like in a old Knights of the Old Republic kind of way, like when you try to use light side powers when you're on the dark side, it's
and
more
you
costly
just
and like
you get a debuff because you know it's yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's like, wait, you're not dark side enough to use force lightning.
Exactly. And like, you know, I know like many people within the story group and the storytelling groups don't like the video gamification of force powers because it doesn't represent them in a true and meaningful way. But it kind of is like that. It's like, you know, you can't really use light side things when you're too far gone, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's I really like that you bring up the Old Republic because I really do love those games like so much. And, you know, I understand that the Old Republic is like Legends. Also, Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO, is like still going and still making new content like to this day. It's just like it's still rolling. Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing is that like people are like, I want the Old Republic. Bring back the Old Republic. Why did Disney kill the Old Republic? And I'm like, guys, it's still happening. Like. So those games are great. And what I, you know, even though they're not beholden to story group, like at all, like not even a little, you know, there's still just such immense respect there for Star Wars and Star Wars lore. they really are just great games. And what's really cool is when you sit down and you build a lightsaber in that game, if you're choosing a Jedi path, you do sit down and like meditate and build your lightsaber from scratch. But if you're on a dark side path, if you're a Sith warrior inquisitor, you're the way you get your first lightsaber is by stealing it off of a dead man's corpse.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah, right. Like I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right, honestly, because the Sith just take, they don't create anything new. They just take what they want, And then what's something really cool is that no matter what path you follow, by the time you reach the higher level stuff in that game, once you're like level 60, you can build like your ultimate legacy lightsaber, like your big, cool, I'm a huge level now weapon,
Yeah.
And no matter if you're dark side or your light side, doesn't matter. You get to sit down and you get to choose one of 3 paths to create this lightsaber. And I thought they were really smart about it, because these themes are neither light nor dark side. I feel like either one could use these 3 paths in any way they wanted. So you could choose a path of resilience, a path of transcendence, or a path of sacrifice. And the mantra, and whichever one you pick, you then get a mantra to like repeat to yourself as you build this lightsaber crystal. As you build this lightsaber, So you either say, there is no defeat I cannot overcome, or you can say, there is no limit I cannot surpass, or you say, there is no loss I cannot survive. Which is like, oh, isn't that cool? Like, again, like this is not canon material by any means, but it's such lovingly Star Wars that I don't know. I think that's cool.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think it's thoughtful in its like makeup. And again, it's cool that they're still telling story, because I'm sure Lucasfilm is like, yes, tell more story that we shall pull from eventually.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, if Malgus does not come to canon eventually, I'll eat my hat. Like, same with Revan. Oh my gosh. You think Revan is going to stay Legends forever? Oh, summer child.
He's almost come back like 3 or 4 times, but I just want him to be a woman.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like mess with people.
Oh, so good. So good.
That was my evil like witch laugh. I
love it.
Yeah. So like, and in like Knights of the Old Republic and the Old Republic video game, like you have all the color choices and like kind of all of these different options.
Right.
And the color appears when it bonds with the Force user, and it's based on their personal experience and their personal bond with the crystal. So, blue, yellow, green. We have our violet or purple lightsaber for Mace Windu, which was
and only Mace Windu.
And only him. And there's actually like an entry about how it's special, although not.
It's special, but it, like the dark saber, where it's like it's special because it's Mandalorian. That makes it special. Okay, just don't ask questions.
Well, like it specifically says that when Mace bonded with his gathered Kyber crystal, it took on a distinct purple hue, rare but not entirely unique in the order. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean, we all know Sam Jackson was just like, I want a purple lightsaber. George was like, sure.
Yeah, why not? Take it.
Why not?
Whatever you want, Sam. Whatever you want.
You're in the movie. Yeah. But like I find lightsaber colors to be really interesting. And
same. Yeah.
Like this brings me to like the biggest change from a Kyber crystal perspective from old canon to new canon. And this was a purposeful change, and you and I can kind of speculate a little bit about why the change was made. And I have a particular crazy theory that I have come about today. So if it's crackpot and crazy and everyone's like, Marie Claire, that's cool, but I think it's super cool.
I'm so here for it. Darth Cersei is here for it.
All right. So in old canon, when we talked about dark side users, they were unable to gather their own crystals. And so many of them were created synthetically.
Yeah, they were fake.
they were fake, and they were able to create them more powerfully for some reason. And in the end, like everybody had synthetic crystals. It was like how, like, you know, fake diamonds are like real diamonds but cheaper. Like it was kind of like that like that whole, like, you know, fad. Like even all of the New Jedi Order all had synthetic crystals by the end. But so that's why they were red specifically. And they were just like kind of, I think they were maybe drawing on the theme of like Vader, because Vader was the first one to have a synthetic crystal. And like it was kind of like this idea like he was a machine and man, and like they were trying to, like, the industrialization and like maybe they were trying, I don't know thematically what they were trying to do exactly, but people ran with it. And one of the things that has come out specifically since then, because when The Force Awakens came out and kind of the canon materials leading up to it, we didn't really know, you know, this piece of the canon had changed until we had the Ahsoka novelization, the Ahsoka book by E.K. Johnson, and it specifically covers the concept of how dark side users have their lightsabers come about. And so either them or a lightsaber that they have stolen, a lightsaber crystal that they have stolen from a light side user, or even one they find on the street, I guess. Doesn't really matter. They are unable to wield it effectively until they attune it to themselves. And they can't attune it with like the lightsaber crystal, the Kyber crystal is almost like afraid of them. So they have to like basically make it submit. And that process is called, it's like they pour all of their dark emotions into it, and it's called bleeding the crystal. And that's why it turns red.
Oh, so cool. I'm sorry. I have I have the quote here if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. The red crystals were corrupted by the dark side when those who wielded them bent them to their will. They call it making the crystal bleed. That's why the blade is red. Ooh. Ooh. That's ooh.
And I have a subquote from the lightsaber book, which is, some Sith believe the proper method to gain a crystal involves bleeding when captured from a Jedi lightsaber. Though the truth, any inert Kyber shard can be bled and forcibly weaponized for the use of the red bladed lightsaber.
You know why this is so interesting to me? Like this is very, very interesting to me. Okay, so in the same, you know, Ahsoka novel where Ahsoka talks about, you know, they made the crystals bleed, you know.
Yeah.
She just a few pages sooner, you know, a few pages earlier, she is looking at the corpse of one of the Inquisitors, you know.
Yep.
And she says, Ahsoka wondered who had trained him and if there were others. Someone had twisted the potential for good in this creature and turned him to the dark side. Someone had made him like this. Like, right. Yeah. Someone, you know, he, you know, this Inquisitor was taken and twisted up for someone else's, you know, needs. You know
very
what I mean?
much in line with our dark side episode. Like these things happen to people, and also a very solid reflection of what happens to the crystal itself, which is again, we talk about like, you know, I'm always drawn back to that Chirrut quote from Rogue One. The strongest stars have hearts of Kyber.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's almost like he's saying like the strongest, like almost heroes of the galaxy, like these Force users out there, they carry their hearts literally out on their sleeve or out there. Their heart is the Kyber crystal that they carry around with them. Because it's a reflection of their soul in some ways.
Exactly. Oh man, I want to bring in more Legends material. Again, I feel kind of bad because it's like, well, this stuff isn't canon anymore, but it is worth saying. I'm just gonna put it out
Okay.
So this is from the 2003 Tartakovsky Clone Wars animated series. And there's an episode that takes place on Ilum between Master Luminara and Barriss Offee. And Master Luminara is showing Barriss Offee, Barriss Offee is assembling a lightsaber. Taking the crystal and assembling the pieces, and as she does this, Master Luminara repeats this other, this mantra to her, saying, "The crystal is the heart of the blade. The heart is the crystal of the Jedi. The Jedi is the crystal of the Force. The Force is the blade of the heart." And she says, all are intertwined. The crystal, the blade, the Jedi. You are one. And she says that as Barriss Offee puts her, assembles her lightsaber. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
How even, before current canon, we were thinking about Kyber crystals being the heart of the blade. The blade, the heart, the Force, the crystal are all one thing.
Yes.
Like, ooh, I get chills.
And like this really makes me like speculate. Okay, so like
yes, why the speculation?
All right, so like why this change? Mm-hmm. Why change this? And it got me on my like I gotta check this out with my smart people. So I was like, okay, so this is really wacky. And I'm like, Ty Black, who's on the show like a fair amount, I've messaged her and I'm like, Ty, like, this is so weird. They changed this concept.
Yeah.
Like specifically from the synthetic crystal, which I mean, really doesn't have any kind of meaning to it or symbology, to this cool concept. I think it's an awesome symbolic change, and it ties, again, it's like another layer of the dark side, light side conversation, right?
Right.
How these things play out. And she's like, well, they changed it just for Kylo.
Exactly. It's for Kylo Ren. It's Kylo Ren. That's the answer. No, that's not a crackpot theory at all.
No. But I'm not even done.
Oh.
This was just the start of it. Okay. So I'm like, okay, so like
I'm buckled in. Let's go.
Okay. So all right, I got to pull out the right book. Sorry. Just give me give me a hot damn minute.
No, it's cool.
Am I pulling out visual dictionaries as we speak? Yes.
Good. There we go. Yes.
This is from the Force Awakens visual dictionary. And this came out like, I don't know, like the week of or something of the Force Awakens. And I bought it as soon as I possibly could because I was like, I need to know more about this Kylo Ren guy.
He's kind of interesting.
He's super interesting. And like there's a few kind of really interesting like things about his lightsaber. It's an ancient design. It has the venting cross guard going on. But specifically, it points to his crystal. And it little line is like cracked Kyber crystal.
Ooh.
And in the lightsaber book, we find out specifically, and it's brought into the Force Awakens novelization as well. And then also it's mentioned, I think, in the TLJ novelization, the color of Kylo's lightsaber is yellow-red.
It's orange.
I mean, like basically
that's orange. A fancy way to say orange. Yellow red.
Yellow red. Okay, so this is going to get a little weird and a little religious, and I'm so sorry in advance. Yeah. If you are like, these are sacred stories for many people, right? Mm-hmm. Like this whole concept. So I was born and raised a Catholic. And so part of Catholicism specifically is around the concept of the sacred bleeding heart. What is this?
Yeah.
And you can just go and Google, like the Wikipedia site kind of talks about it really, really well. And this was brought in at some point as kind of a mythos around Jesus. So specifically when Jesus was resurrected, the bleeding heart represented all of the wounds that he had experienced in the suffering of taking on the suffering and the pain of the world for humanity so that he could specifically see. It was basically like a representation of the love that he had for humanity while he waited for us to be redeemed. What's super interesting about it is that it's literally pierced in a similar fashion. It looks very much like Kylo's lightsaber. It is lined with gold, and it has a flaming crown on it.
Okay, okay.
Katie, if you actually scroll down, I actually put a picture
in the notes.
Yeah, in the notes.
Oh, dang. Okay. All right. That's what we're doing here.
Okay, so dotted line. The Kyber crystal represents the heart of the person.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah, it does.
And in the kind of bleeding heart, sacred bleeding heart, like mythos in Catholicism, it is the fire and the wounds that are taken on is almost like a representation of the suffering that the galaxy is under, and how this divine avatar is carrying it for everyone.
Ooh, okay, yeah. Like the weight of the whole galaxy, yeah.
Yeah, or the world, right? And
yes. Well, I'm still thinking about Kylo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in other mythologies, like there's a lot of tie back to like bleeding hearts specifically. Like Egyptians, they very much believed that as children were born, they were born with the literal heart of their mother in them.
Oh, okay.
Because of and this is actually my good friend Bree, the Porg's Nest. I was like pinging her about this, and she was like, I need to know. And I'm like, this is the thing. And she's like, I wrote a meta on this, so I'll link to it in the liner notes, but not specifically this piece, but about Heart's blood and the fact that we kind of see this concept play out symbolically on Crate with the fight between Luke and Kylo. And there's this idea that symbolically it can only be given to somebody who has been resurrected and has been brought back.
Oh, wait.
Wait. So, okay. We're gonna take a step back and be like, okay, so we have had a virginal birth in the galaxy far away.
Yeah, we have.
His name is Anakin Skywalker. He was a virginal birth, and
there was no father. I can't explain what happened.
He went through some trials, and he was kind of like the hero for our time and all of those things, and then he fell and he kind of died as a villain. And Jesus actually died as a villain in his local like world. And I'm not saying that Anakin is Jesus, but I'm saying that like virginal births are very powerful. And then when the resurrection happened, it's because from a Joseph Campbellinian perspective, the person that comes back is set to bring back the secret, the elixir, the thing that he needs to bring back to transform his own tribe or the galaxy or save the world. And the bleeding heart represents that for Jesus. Because Jesus is the world, is the savior of the world. Hearing his story is what saves the world while he waits for everybody to be redeemed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And in this idea, Kylo is kind of going to be the key to being the redemptive force.
Yeah, because he's the one, kind of soaking up all the pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He is literally suffering for the galaxy.
Yeah. Especially because, we never see him, you know what I mean? Like he's not the one firing off Starkiller Base. You know what I mean? He's not the one actively hurting the galaxy, and it'll be really interesting to see like what a kind of supreme leader he is, but up through episode 8, he's just kind of the one getting kicked around really by Snoke. He's the one that Snoke is hurting like personally, and while the galaxy is experiencing that pain on a very broad scale. Kylo is feeling it on a personal and intimate scale.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's carrying it, and he's not quite ready to like give the elixir back, basically. Like that's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
And the fascinating thing is that the fire in the Bleeding Hearts mythos represents the healing potential of divine love.
Oh, yeah. That's that's what Star Wars is. Love people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like this is all like the Bleeding Hearts comes out of this divine wounds, or like the kind of idea that like holy wounds. And so like there's a concept that God sometimes in Catholicism and in Christianity, God sometimes needs to wound you with like a holy wound so that something can happen. And this specifically happens with like Longinus and like stabbing Jesus in the side with the spear, the like, crown of thorns around his head. Like there's this concept of holy wounds, and we specifically see 2 holy wounds happen in the sequel trilogy, and we've seen Luke lose his hand, which is also considered to be a holy wound too, because it's the key to unlocking the connection between him and his father.
Right. Yeah, he gets that hand. Yeah, the robot hand.
The robot hand, which allows him to identify with his father's robot self. And he realizes that the same path would lead him down that same path. And it unlocks that potential for him to see the redemptive path. So we see the scar on Kylo's face, which was given to him by the Skywalker lightsaber, a legacy lightsaber. It's like a holy weapon, right? It's this holy weapon that literally the Force has wounded Kylo. We also see Rey has been given a scar that matches kind of the Force experience that her and Kylo have had. It looks like 2 little hands reaching out to each other.
Yes, yeah, across the stars.
Across the stars. Like, but literally those 2 wounds are like holy wounds. They are given to them by the Force. And that is fundamentally important to like almost rites within Catholicism and sainthood.
Yeah. Okay.
So like these are divine players. We know this. We already assumed.
Yeah,
this.
we've been new. These are our central figures of the sequel trilogy. Yeah.
It is that the wounds are like carried within the crystals too. So it's really fascinating that the heart of one crystal is cracked and bleeding and pained and in flames, literally like a sacred bleeding heart. But also, who knows what happened to the Skywalker legacy saber, but it has some potential to also have like a wounded heart, although feminine versions of those, like the Virgin Mary has a sacred heart too, but hers is like pure and non-broken and stuff like that. So there's kind of some interesting things at play, and I do think that this all ties back to the idea that Kyber crystals represent people's hearts, and that we're tying into this kind of more Catholic symbolism of redemption, right?
Oh yeah, it's always going to come back to redemption, because that's that's what Star Wars is. Yeah.
And I checked with my mom, because I was like, my mom, who's like the super Catholic that I know, and she's like, oh yeah, that sounds like a Catholic story, like how you've described it. Like this is basically the rite of until basically kind of the end of the world. Jesus carries the sacred bleeding heart and is there to be an example for people. And there's some examples where like saints take on the bleeding heart and stuff like that. But from the core mythos, it is just, Jesus's suffering for our sins and for our chance at redemption is reflected in the bleeding heart concept.
Yeah. And then that's Kylo's saber, and that's what he's, wielding. That's very interesting to me. Sorry, I didn't know any of this. So I was just like watching you the whole time, like, whoa, really? Like, oh my God. No, that's cool. I'm sorry. So this is very new ideas to me coming right now, but like, just this idea that, if that Kyber crystal, this bleeding heart, represents Kylo's heart, and
Yeah.
we get to choose how we use this weapon. And right now he's choosing to use that weapon to hurt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He uses that weapon against his uncle, and against Rey. And really the only time it ever works out for him is when he chooses to use it against the Praetorian Guards.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if we're going to answer the question of, why do Jedi still get to carry laser swords at the end? You know what I mean? Maybe that's the answer, like Kylo choosing, to use it to save people. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And like, that's where like I question, because we know Ahsoka was able to like kind of heal a bled lightsaber by making it all white. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But there might be this idea that like Kylo keeps the red lightsaber because it represents the sacrifice and the pain that he kind of has to always go through.
If the crystals are red because they're being used in a way that they don't like and they don't agree with, you made it bleed because you're making it submit to your will. This suggests to me that Kylo's crystal doesn't want to do what it's doing. I mean, unless it's not red. I mean, it's orange, apparently. It's
yellow red.
It's yellow red. So, if it's yellow red, then that's fine, I guess, because I guess that just reflects his heart, and his heart just is, just bleeds red. That's cool. But if it's red because he's making it submit to him, and it's like, no, I'm going to be evil and you're going to like it, and we're going to, then I would like to see that crystal, healed when Kylo himself starts being his true self, becomes Ben Solo again, redeems and purifies himself, and and then his crystal can relax and be like, oh, finally we're helping instead of hurting, that, and then his crystal maybe turns a different color, or maybe it just turns yellow, maybe it turns gold.
Maybe it just turns gold. Like, and I literally do not know what's gonna happen. Like, I can't.
Oh no, we don't. We both.
But this symbolism is really fascinating, because it's like if you think of it kind of like in a very meta way, we don't know what Kylo is going through, but maybe in some way he is literally taking on all of Palpatine's like focus and suffering for the sake of the galaxy, distracting Palpatine.
Yeah,
it's distracting the literal devil manifestation in the Star Wars universe and taking all of that heat, and that is why Kylo literally has a bleeding heart lightsaber.
It'd break my heart, honestly.
I mean, like literally, it's like just like Maul, like.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I'm like, wow, Darth Maul did the exact same thing. He like Sidious raised him from infancy and tortured him so personally. Yep. And I'm like, how come Darth Maul didn't get this like cool path that Kylo gets to go on? Like, all right.
Oh.
Like, breaks my heart. Well, and then again, I kind of feel like, Maul was Sidious's focus, up until the end of episode 1. And then, and then it became Anakin, and now it's Kylo. And so Kylo is going to kind of redeem, he's going to redeem all of those Darksiders that came before him. He's going to redeem Anakin, and he's going to redeem
Dooku.
Yeah, except Dooku.
No, don't Dooku.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Dooku, he knows what he did.
I mean, Dooku is literally Dracula, according to Kevin Scott. So, and that totally makes sense. Okay, so
it's like okay. So imagine Darth Maul gives Anakin a high five, and Anakin passes that high five on to Ben Solo, and Ben Solo passes that high five right into Palpatine's face, just like smacks him, just like bam, it's like, you're done, and you're done, you're out.
Yeah. And I ran this one past Ty because I'm like, am I crazy? And she's like, no, there's like a lot to that. And didn't you know Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams' wife are Catholic? And I'm like, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why would I know that? But I mean, like, at least it's interesting. And it's interesting to think about things like in this idea, maybe Kylo is the weird dark force user shield of the galaxy right now.
Ah, could be. That's interesting.
Like, Marie Claire, you're crazy.
No, you're not crazy. I just need, I'm learning all of this for the first time and I'm chewing on it for the first time. That's, yeah,
Yeah.
that's real cool.
But like, we know that these crystals have a collective conscious, and we know that they have forcey desires, right? Because like, they get called between the two of them, and it really makes me wonder about that scene when we see the crystal almost trying to go to two masters in the throne room after the botched proposal. Kylo, you totally suck, dude, at sharing your emotions.
Like, maybe don't tell her that she's nothing, but not to me. Like, why are you mad?
I mean, she really doesn't want to rule the galaxy, dude. Like, she probably just wants to hollow net and chill with you.
Right. Well, that's the thing. She's like,
she would have been cool with just some Netflix or whatever the HoloNet version of Netflix is.
Well,
and like,
that's the thing. When your lady tells you what she wants, tell them to stop firing on the fleet. Like that's what I want. Maybe listen.
Oh, hey, Wait, your friends? You want me to stop killing your friends?
Hang on. Like, maybe hear me out. Maybe we just let your friends die. Which is like, have you considered that we just let them die? Have you thought about that?
Oh my God, yes. That's amazing. But yeah, so like that didn't work, but like, why would a good-sided, I mean, theoretically, light-sided lightsaber go to Kylo?
Yeah. I feel like maybe he's turned a bit of a corner at that moment,
Like, realizing that he could do something for somebody else other than himself. He certainly had, compassionate emotions, probably, which is, very in line with the light side of the Force.
I think that moment specifically, when Rey tries to grab the lightsaber from Kylo and he holds it back, I think that's a moment where their wills are equally matched, kind of like, Labyrinth, for my kingdom is great and my will is as strong as yours, but they have reached a point where they are both just so equal, and they both want what they want and neither one of them are going to back down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And which is not where they were at all when Rey took that lightsaber from him the first time. Yep. Her will was stronger than his, quite frankly. You know what I mean? In that moment.
Yes.
But now that they've come together and they both understand each other and they both know what each other are capable of, now they're on equal footing, so that lightsaber really could have gone either way. And it broke in half. That was the thing, is that it didn't go either way. Rey didn't win.
It overloaded because they were both so powerful, and like this whole idea of like powerful light, powerful dark.
Yeah. And I also feel like the Force was trying to tell them that they don't belong apart. Yeah. They belong together, and trying to take from each other was only going to break them apart. You know what I mean? This only ends broken. This only ends destructively. You know what I mean?
I mean, literally the Force like separates them. It's like, you in that corner, you in that corner, and I don't want to hear from you for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like I've done this to my own children when they've been fighting.
I mean, yeah, the Force like literally like tore them apart at the end of The Force Awakens. You know what I mean? When Rey could have killed Kylo.
It's like, noping that. Nope.
And it split the planet like right down the middle to keep those two apart, and it did the same thing here, where it's all like, I would rather be split in half than see you two hurt each other.
We got a little fascinated with the batteries, and we didn't talk about how cool Darth Maul's lightsaber is, but it's super cool. And we spent some time talking before the show about how amazing and cool Darth Maul's lightsaber is. So I don't feel so bad about removing that from Not letting Darth Cersei
just
talk,
go off
wax
about the double-bladed lightsaber.
I mean, like when he appeared in the door, we got the whole play of the Duel of the Fates. We got the one side turning on, then the other side turning on, and we all lost our minds.
And and it's like, wait a second, how is that possible? Is he cheating? How does he do that?
And for the longest time, we were all like, "Is there 2 crystals?" Like,
oh yeah, we know that now.
How does this work?
Yeah,
we're like, what? Why would you do that? Oh my God, that's brilliant. Why doesn't everybody have that?
Yeah, we actually know that now in canon. Yes, there's 2 crystals in Darth Maul's lightsaber. Where they come from, we don't know yet. Let's all speculate wildly. I know I sure have. I have very firm headcanons that, like, if Pablo or Dave Filoni changes, they're all like, no, this is where Darth Maul's lightsaber crystals come from. I won't be able to accept it because my headcanons are like that stern. What does it say in your book?
It says Darth Maul based the design of his double-bladed lightsaber on ancient Sith plans deep within the Sith holocron owned by Darth Sidious. Eager to destroy the Jedi, Darth Maul felt a single-bladed weapon was far too limiting. Of course he did.
Yes.
Functioning as a saber staff, Darth Maul's weapon consists of 2 lightsabers fused together.
Oh, terrific.
So the blades can extend in a single line. Each blade can be ignited separately depending on the situation and the opponent being faced.
Yeah. So we don't know where his crystals came from, but we do know that there are 2 because it is 2 separate blades.
2 lightsabers fused together.
Yep. My boy. It's just that extra.
Just so extra. I mean, there are some Jedi in there that have 2 crystals in their lightsaber to make their beams extra wide.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about compensation. I don't want to tell you which ones. But yeah, so like lightsabers wise, what are we going to see in The Rise of Skywalker? We know we see Rey's lightsaber. It's mended with a piece of leather. It looks like around the middle.
Girl.
Like literally, her answer to any kind of wound is like, put some leather on it, because she has that like leather armband on her scar.
Exactly. She's like, it's fine. It's fine. Let's not talk about it.
It's like a Band-Aid. Like,
no, it's a Band-Aid. It's fine.
It's fine.
We're not talking about it.
Let's not talk about this so much. We get to see her ignite the lightsaber, so we know it works in the trailer. We see Kylo with his, very extra, like very almost like Crusader now lightsaber when he's fighting those people in the forest, red planety forest, and like he uses like the Quillians to like, I don't know, maybe burn stab. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing with it, but we definitely get to see that lightsaber work as well, which is cool. I kind of want to see a scene.
Okay.
It's going to be so cheesy. I kind of want to see a scene where they like come back together and like Rey offers the blue lightsaber to him.
Oh my gosh. Does he take it?
No. And he's like, no, it's yours now. Like, I kind of want to see that just because I feel like that would be like how much growth they've had and like all the things that they've been through.
Especially because he starts the movie all like, that lightsaber belongs to me. Like, and then he ends like, no.
Like, and I very much view like the lightsaber to be like her dowry. I like engagement gift even.
Yeah.
Like, I very much view that like, because then she becomes a Skywalker because they're married. And actually probably by the end of the movies.
She offers him the lightsaber and he's all like, I can't take that. And she's like, this lightsaber is my heart and it's already yours.
And then they kiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
exactly.
God. Oh my gosh. Yes.
And like, if we're thinking from a reverse Anadella, we'll just have a side reverse Anadella tangent. Yes. It was always hers.
It was always, yes.
Because it was always Padme's.
Oh.
If she is a Padre situation. It was always her.
Not gonna fake.
It was always hers. And so now that she has the ability to wield it and be a true partner with her soulmate, it's balance.
Yes. Ah, that's so perfect. See now, okay, that's really perfect, all that stuff you were saying. And now I'm kind of in love with that. But I kept thinking maybe she was going to pass on the Skywalker saber to someone else, like some youngling or something.
Oh, that's kind of cool too.
You know what I mean? Give it to somebody else. Because like this idea that only one person can save the galaxy is, that's no good. That's what got the galaxy into trouble in the first place. Was thinking that we needed a chosen one or thinking that we needed a Luke Skywalker. I mean, we did need Luke Skywalker because Luke Skywalker ignited some much needed hope in this fight, because it's like, look at what he can do and look at what he does for us, like people needed that, they needed that legend. But the idea that Rey is the only person who can save the galaxy, you know what I mean? The idea that it comes down to just one person is like, no, it starts with all of us, So I kind of thought she was going to symbolically hand down this like legendary saber to another nobody like her. You know what I mean? And I was really hoping that she was going to build her own lightsaber and it was going to be a double-bladed saber. Well, do you
like a lot of people wanted to see that, like the idea that she has
that staff. Yeah. That staff is writing a check that J.J. Abrams better cash. He better cash that check in episode 9.
Like, literally everyone was obsessed with the staff. It's like she still has it with her.
Yes.
Like she literally makes people hold it for her. Like I think she made, is it like Finn or Poe or somebody is like wearing it? Like she makes other people carry the staff.
Like carry the staff for me. I'm not going anywhere without it. We've been on some adventures. We've had some times the staff and me. Like,
look, the Staffy's name is Staffy.
Yes, Staffy.
And you better respect the Staffy.
She's like polishing Staffy.
Like Staffy was my only friend for like how many years? Like, you want me to leave Staffy? What are you talking about?
That's why she didn't want BB-8 to come along, Like, she's like, I already got Staffy. I don't need one. Like, oh my gosh.
Staffy.
Well, no,
yeah.
That's the thing. Okay, so
I know, you're right. Like, what's with the staff?
It's got to be a double-bladed saber. Yeah, it's... Obviously. Well,
I mean, obviously. And maybe she has done that, but she like hangs on to the Skywalker saber because, literally it's her engagement gift from her husband.
Yeah, exactly. Her soul husband. Well, so you remember the episode 9 panel, they were showing, promotional stills for the movie and Daisy Ridley's up there. And then she goes like, oh, that's me with a stick. And it's this picture of her like standing in a forest, like holding like this really long, really big stick.
Yeah.
It's not her staff. It's like a big stick. And I was like, that's you with a stick, right? That's you with a stick, which.
Oh, yeah. Like, and they replaced it.
Yeah,
in the promotional photo to hide it, and she's actually got a saber staff.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, a stick, right? Yeah, no, they totally like CGI'd out your saber staff and put a stick in your hands. That's what I think's happening.
I mean, I would be totally cool with like her giving him back the legacy saber and her having her own dope saber staff. That would be cool too. I'd be cool too with it too, but like I really kind of like that idea that like he's like, no, I'm good, but you keep it.
Like I said, like I love that. That's wonderful. That's beautiful.
I'm a little squishy on the inside apparently. So all of this cool stuff and whatever they decide to do, which is that's me with a stick is actually me with a saber staff. I totally believe that that's something J.J. Abrams would do.
1000%.
Oh my God. He would totally do that.
Yep.
Oh no. And then all the fanboys are going to be like, see, I told you that staff was important.
That's exactly how they're going to say
it. They won't, but some of them might.
Some of them might.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I mean, some cool stuff's going to happen in Tross, obviously.
Obviously. I mean, understatement. How many months away? Like, Not close enough.
Not close enough. Yeah. I have to say, okay, so we know, okay, that's me with a stick is actually a saber staff. and that we know where the legacy saber is. What happens to Kylo's literal bleeding heart lightsaber?
I think he keeps it. Yeah.
He dual wields once.
Oh, what? Oh, that would be kind of sick. Yeah.
I mean, like she in the water like scene from the Vanity Fair photos, she's wielding the Skywalker lightsaber. So maybe she has both too.
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe they have 3 amongst them. And we find out that when she's pregnant, she gives the Skywalker lightsaber to her child.
To her twins. That's me twins.
Oh my god, I think I've cracked. This is the end of the lightsaber episode. I've done it. I've overcooked. That's what's happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so any last thoughts? Anything that you would like to bring up about lightsaber lore, or do you think that we've done a pretty good job?
I think we've done a pretty good job. I never went off about the Darksaber. That's fine.
Oh yeah, we didn't really talk about the Darksaber. It's fine. Cool.
It's a really cool thing, that Darksaber. Darth Maul wielded it once, that he did.
It looks really cool. It represents basically Mandalorian power and legacy, and has this whole like, you know, if any weapon is Excalibur in the Star Wars universe, it's the Darksaber and not the Skywalker saber.
Yep. Mary Claire speaking the truth.
Because like literally a crazy old wizard had it in a cave for a while. I'm talking about Darth Maul. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. He had it on a shrine in his crazy cave.
Yeah. And then like a Knight of Mandalore, basically Sabine Wren brings it back and like gives it to the true heir of Mandalore. And like there's a lot going on there from a like mythology and story perspective. So Darksaber, cool. I would like to see more Darksaber stories, possibly in the Old Republic with the Jedi Mandalore War.
Ooh, yeah.
That would be cool. Actually, like have something like that. That would be really cool. Yeah. I'd like to see also new configurations of lightsabers if they could expand on that. Can we just say that the Inquisitor flying lightsaber situation is not great?
I was kind of into it.
You were kind of into it?
And it was kind of, I don't know. Star Wars is allowed to be kind of ridiculous, I think. Like, just,
I feel like maybe it was kind of guiding them, but they certainly weren't flying with their lightsabers because it's literally made out of like light. But
they used the Force.
They were using the Force. It was just like a balancing thing, or I don't know. I do love the Inquisitor lightsabers. Like, as we wrap this up, I do love them because it's like, can I make Darth Maul's lightsaber but lazy?
Can I just make a fidget spinner that's a lightsaber? Can I make like the coolest person's lightsaber but like the lazy person's version of it? Yeah. I don't want to have to like train and have like the crazy physical dexterity required to use this lightsaber. Just is there like an autopilot function? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Can I like not do all those push-ups?
Yeah, exactly. Please.
Yeah, I loved it. And it like, to me, they kind of like also very much symbolically reflect like how these were like basically knockoff Sith. Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Disposable almost. Like, yeah.
100% disposable. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I still super appreciate that Maul has a Inquisitor lightsaber that's been like changed and like taken and like made his own. I really love that, and we got to see that both in Solo, in Rebels, kind of throughout the Rebels run that he was in. It was super cool.
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of feelings about that lightsaber and like why he would give up the Darksaber for that lightsaber. You know what I mean? His Inquisitor lightsaber. I don't know. I have a lot of questions about why Darth Maul would start using that one. And Darth Maul has a new lightsaber in the Siege of Mandalore. And I'm like, where did that lightsaber come from? Because it's not the Darksaber and it's not Savage Opress's lightsaber. So where did Darth Maul get this new lightsaber that he's using in the Siege of Mandalore? I got questions.
and at the end of Rebels, he has like the Inquisitor one back, right?
Yeah, he has at the end of Rebels. Yeah, all throughout Rebels, he uses an Inquisitor lightsaber, the same one that he had in Solo.
Yeah. So like at some point, probably when he's
after the Siege of Mandalore, he definitely, encounters an Inquisitor and is all like, "I like your lightsaber better than these 3 other lightsabers that I have." I have so many lightsabers, and I have questions about all of them.
It's like, where are they?
Where are they? Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I know.
How did you make them?
Yeah. Exactly. How did he break them? No. Okay. I mean, I know where the Darksaber is. He's just all like, okay, Savage Opress is dead, and I'm sad about it. I'm gonna put, the Darksaber over here on an.
So you know what happened with the Darksaber?
Yeah. It's on Dathomir. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So you know what happened with the Darksaber, though?
Oh, tell me.
Okay. So. Yeah. So bringing this back to the start of the episode, he looked at the bottom and he realized there was only one bar.
There's only one bar.
on the battery, and he's like, I can't use this.
I can't charge it. This is Dathomir. Dathomir,
I have no power outlet on Dathomir. So I cannot charge the Darksaber.
That's why Darth Maul needs like 4 lightsabers. It's because they all ran out of battery.
Because he's like, I literally can't charge any of these lightsabers.
Oh my gosh. He's like, Kira, come to me on Dathomir and cell phone batteries.
Not the double A's, the triple A's. It's very important.
If I see double A's, Kira, you're going the way of Dryden.
Oh my god. And like we find out the Darksaber's like a hearing aid battery or something stupid like that. It's like, no, you've got to use the little tongs to like get the battery in the. Never mind, I'll do it.
Never mind, it's fine.
No, it totally makes sense why he doesn't use the Darksaber.
We cracked the code. We solved it. Good job, us. Good job, Darth Cersei and Darth Millicene. That's an episode.
All right, Katie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
As always, for coming on the show.
Anytime.
And literally like figuring out why Maul has so many lightsabers. It's because maybe he just doesn't know how to charge it. Like he didn't know. He didn't know he had to like flip up the little like rubber
He can't find the compartment. He just can't find it.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know where the little cord goes in.
Listen, he spent at least 10 years of his life cut in half, living on a garbage planet, avoiding acid rain. Okay, like that. He's got other things on his mind. Mm-hmm. All right. That's all I'm saying.
And because he lived in the trash, he views lightsabers as disposable.
Yes.
And he just keeps the Darksaber one, doesn't turn it on respectfully because he cannot figure out how to charge it. So this all makes sense. I feel like we've solved it.
I feel like, I'm really glad I came and had this conversation with you. I'm so glad we figured this stuff out.
You're like, now locked in the Maul safe.
Exactly, yeah.
Forever.
Who needs Pablo? Who needs him? I got Marie Claire.
Batteries.
No more batteries.
Now I need it. If I ever get Sam Witwer on the podcast, I'm just gonna be like, no, my lightsaber battery is done. And like in Maul's voice. I would do it
in the Maul voice, yes. Just like I ran out of battery again. Give me a minute to charge it. Yes,
this
please.
Is like
that's my wish list.
Can you wait a moment? It's charging. All right. Well, this was wacky, weird, fun, amazing, as always, with you on the show. So thank you for coming on.
You're very welcome.
Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at PoHotDamarin. That's where I live my wonderful Star Wars life. You can also catch my podcast, The Wampa's Lair. We're at Wampa's Lair on Twitter. You can also just like search Apple Podcasts or Google The Wampa's Lair podcast. And yep, that's me every week with my co-host, just shooting the Star Wars breeze.
Literally, if you enjoy this show, it's basically like that.
Yeah.
Kitty and the guys are awesome. So check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And follow her for the best Star Wars tweets.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mary Claire.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to What the Force. I'm Marie Claire Gould, your host. Our music is the What the Force theme, orchestral music by Christy Carew. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/whattheforce. We like to thank all our patrons, especially those who love What the Force, Night Huntress, In Wild Space, Susan, Kathy, and Cassandra Corvid. We are available on iTunes, Google Play, and other podcatchers, including YouTube. If you would like to support the show in other ways, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. You can connect to us on Twitter at What the Force Show. Feel free to reach out and start a conversation. Cheers.